time, I'm going to start posting some trade recap videos just because I feel like it'll help me a lot in my journey and looking at kind of how my trading has evolved and how I'm looking at the charts, and will just help with my journaling process. And I feel like it might help you guys as well, just knowing a little bit about how I trade. But yeah, this is the first one, so bear with me, please. I'm finding it really difficult to explain my trades in a long form video, but anyway, I'll get straight into it. We'll start with the top-down analysis. I'll just preface this by saying I didn't take a trade tonight. I didn't take a trade, and I'll show you guys kind of why I didn't take a trade. But I did my analysis right, clearly, but I just didn't get all of the data indicators that I needed in order to take an entry. That's why I didn't take an entry, but my analysis was right and price ended up going into my direction, straight into my TP. So I love that. But yeah, so anyway, last week gold was pushing all-time highs, and then it kind of got to this level and couldn't break past it. It tried here, again here, and then it kind of sold off. Well, it clearly sold off. It sold off here, and then it consolidated around this zone. This is where I had kind of targeted my buys for last week, which you guys can go back to those. I did lose those trades, full transparency, but if you want to hear about those, just watch my last videos. But yeah, price was selling off from this level, and then price started consolidating here, and then it started pushing to new highs. Now I could have taken a trade off of this level, but I feel like because last week I had lost so many shorts and I had a shorts bias underneath this level because I knew that price was finding it hard to push past this level. I didn't take a buy entry up here, which I could have, and I obviously could have caught this massive move. I think my confidence was just hit a little bit with the losses that I took yesterday, and my shorts bias was just too strong, which is obviously a bad thing. But looking back at this now, I can see that price was making higher lows here, and here, so I should have really felt comfortable enough to take a buy off of this level. It would have looked something like this, so indication, correction, and continuation. But looking at it, to be honest, maybe I wouldn't have taken an entry off of this because this is actually outside of New York session. And yeah, it looks like it's going over. It looks like it's going over the weekend. So it looks like the weekend market kind of closed here. So I probably wouldn't have taken an entry off of this just because it's too high risk. Yeah, unfortunately, I've just started documenting my days where I don't take trades, hence me recording this video. I've started recording the days that I don't take trades just because I feel as though it's just as important as documenting when you do choose to take a trade. But anyway, back to today's trade. So that's definitely an entry that I could have taken in hindsight, but that's a hindsight setup because market was closing for the weekend, so that would have been super high risk. It wouldn't have been crazy high risk, but because you can't see any of the price action over the weekend, I would have counted that as high risk personally. It's just not something that I want to do for my risk tolerance because I'm a beginner and I have a low amount of capital, so I'm not really ready to risk crazy amounts compared to if I did have a high level of capital. I don't know if that makes any sense, but yeah. So anyway, I had my alert set here at the all-time high, and price basically made this indication, and it hasn't actually started a correction. I was almost counting this as the correction to start, but yeah, this is just one as to why I didn't take this trade, is because there was no correction here. I did find an entry within this, but you can see that price is kind of going sideways. It's definitely choppy here, and it doesn't really look like it's pushing a super strong trend, up until this point here with these consecutive candles. But it almost looks like the trend is exhausting because you can see that the candles are, I'm just going to turn off my session so it's easier to see. But you can see that the candles are getting smaller as they go, and this looks like an indecision candle. However, this candle is still open for 37 minutes, so we'll see what happens. But you can also see the volume starting to die down, so that's usually, to me, an indication that the trend's kind of exhausting a little bit, but we'll see what happens. There's no point predicting. But anyway, we'll hop down to the 50-minute. If you guys are curious, this is what the 4-hour looks like. Clearly you can see there's no correction. Again, 1 hour, no correction. So on the 15-minute, you can see that price broke out of this level. It was kind of moving sideways for this period here, and then it started pushing up. And then, as you can see, there's not really any indication, correction, continuation to base off of here. I don't like to base indication, like I don't like to base the ICT. Oh my gosh, ICC setup. I'm sorry guys, please bear with me. It's like 12:30 at night right now. But I don't like to base the ICC setup off of the 5-minute time frame. So I could have done indication, correction, continuation past this level. But I just know. It's just not really what I've back tested, and I know that high time frames hold more power. And if I want to learn from Trades by Sky, he doesn't teach this. So it would really just be me trying to force a trade if I took an entry off of a 5-minute ICC setup. It all works in theory. However, you're going to have a lower win rate doing it this way, just from what I've backtested and learned from trading so far. So if I were to ever take it off of this lower time frame, it would definitely be the 15-minute, but you can see it's just moving sideways here. And then, as you can see, price is pushed up and it's just literally consolidated. It's hit this level and it's just not wanted to go past it. However, it has made higher lows going up here, so even though it didn't want to push past this was kind of still showing that there was a bullish trend, but buyers were just super strong here. Then when price broke out of here, you can see it was kind of tested a little bit here on whether or not it could push out, but you could see that down here the volume was pretty strong of buyers, and then you can see that the buyers have pushed past this level and it's continuing to push past, and this is kind of what I took as the indication correction. I'm super pedantic when it comes to these trades because a low time frame holds less power, so I'm just very, very pedantic and I like everything to be perfect if I'm going to take an entry like this, compared to if I was to take the full indication correction continuation off of the high time frame, the way that the trade strategy works best. But yeah, so I looked at this, I was like, okay, that's an indication correction, and this could potentially be the continuation. So this is London session where it was chopping around. This was Asia, this was London, and then this is New York. So I'll just take that off again because it just looks so crowded when you have it like that. But yeah, and then price also made this higher low again, and there's a lot of things wrong with this setup. I'm sorry, I'm so close to the camera, but I need my glasses to see my screen, so this is why I'm like so close. But anyway, it's so much wrong with this setup. So it's a 1 to 0.8, so it's a negative RR setup. Nothing super wrong with this. I just prefer to trade a 1-to-1 RR because otherwise I don't really see the point in taking the trade, because I don't take too many trades as it is. Like last week I took 3 trades, and one of those was just an unnecessary trade that I didn't need to take. So I don't take that many trades, so it needs to be higher than a 1-to-1 RR, just for my personal preferences, but each to their own. Yeah, so that's one thing that was wrong with this. So I already was like, chances I'm going to take this are very low. And anyway, we can see prices push back up above this indication level, and then I'll obviously go more in depth with this, but it ended up pushing past this. I was a little bit uncertain about this, so I wanted to see the 15-minute candle close over the 5-minute candle close. So I wanted to base my entry off of this level, so you can see the R is even lower. But yeah, I wanted to base it off of the 15-minute candle closure, so I had that extra confirmation, and then yeah, to have my stop loss at that recent high, and then my take buy at that recent high, my stop loss at that recent low. And then let's scale down to the 5-minute, just so you guys can have an opportunity to see. It's just the same thing with more information. But yeah, I was gonna wait for the pullback because I was like, okay, this isn't very good. Let me wait for the pullback and see what else happens. There was also this massive drop in volume down here as price was pushing past the level, which is totally fine, but it also was accompanied by this indecision candle. So I was like a little bit like, I don't know, let's see what happens. And that was after I got that 15-minute candle close. So I thought, let me see what happens and let me see like what price wants to do. And then price ended up literally opening here and dropping back down. And I didn't take that as a pullback, so I wanted to see the 5-minute candle close at least. And then it closed up, which was great. It kept pushing up. Of course, I was experiencing FOMO here. Totally fine. I was just like, whatever, like I'm gonna stick to my rules, and if I'm gonna take this entry, it's gonna be solid, because this already is like of a lower time frame, which I don't like. Yeah, and then I waited and I saw this massive pullback, and I was like, okay, like obviously I was happy to see the pullback, but I was still feeling unsure about the trade, and there was a growing volume of sellers here, and this was just, yeah, it was just like a massive candle. I don't know if I'm overthinking this, but I just didn't really like this pullback. It's because I got the pullback, which is what I wanted, but that was me forcing a trade. But when I exceeded my strategy, my strategy does super well, is when the trade goes all the way in my direction. Like it just straight, like, to give you an example, like say I took an entry. This obviously has nothing to do with my entry criteria, but let's say I took an entry here. That right there is what I like to see my strategy do. Like with minimal pullback, like I just like to see it going straight into my direction. But this it had quite an aggressive pullback, and I was like, and like it was, yeah, I don't know. I just kind of took that as an indication to be extra cautious, because even though that was what I wanted to see, like I'm saying, like, oh, I want to see a pullback so I can take an entry, which is me forcing a trade. But then if you look at the pullback, it's like, does that really mean that if prices pull back so much and the sellers are so strong and the buyers are so weak that sellers can make that big movement, is that an entry that I should be taking? That's what I was second guessing myself on. But yeah, and then price was just pushing back up, and again I'm experiencing FOMO. This was like such a test to my patience, and then price went all the way back. It pushed so close to my TP, pushed all the way back down to my original entry that I wanted, which was just about this level. But I was like, you know what, this is where I'm going to sit at. I'm not taking this trade, because look at what price is doing. It's making a low, high, 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 low, high, high, lower, low. And that's where I was just like, yeah, I'm not going to take a trade. And then price just continued to just really just like kind of chop around here, and it hit my TP. That's all well and good, but it didn't continue past my TP. It's just really like going almost like, I don't know, I would call this choppy, going sideways. But obviously for scalpers it might be easier for them, because it's like you've got all of these little movements to capitalize on, but I don't trade the 1 minute, so to me that is just choppy price action. So that's why I didn't take a trade. This was my first trade recap video, so please bear with me if I was like slow or over explaining things. But yeah, that's the trade that I didn't take tonight. I did journal my trade, but I'm also going to be doing a journal refresh. So I'm going to be refreshing my journal and really using TradeZilla to the best of its ability. So that will hopefully be done later this week, and I'll show you guys that process as well. But yeah, thanks for watching my trade recap. If you did enjoy this video, let me know. I will of course be continuing to post my mindset kind of trading diaries videos. If you guys are interested in watching those, please just head to my channel, and I've got a playlist of them. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I will be back again tomorrow with another trade recap. Bye bye.